Hey, what's good? I spent the holidays in Florida. When I told people that I lived in California, more times than not, people would say something like, "Why would you do that?" People had such a warped sense of what living in California is, which I find hilarious because California is one of the largest economies in the world. Not just the United States, but the entire world. So I find it funny when people that come from the South talk trash about people that live in California. It's because of California, New York, and Chicago that many of your states are still operational. There's a lot of states that are running as a welfare state, and then you have the courage, you have the tenacity to talk trash about living in California. So we're going to be addressing your concerns about living in California. First, we're going to start with this video called The History of California in 13 Minutes. I'm going to be working on this kid's book. Before we get into it, remember to go to coconutjustice.com to get you some clothes that I think would look good on you. Let's go. All right. So just to let you guys know, this video is from a channel called Knowledgia, and they have almost 2 million subscribers. I'm not one of their subscribers. This just popped up in my feed. But like I said, you know, I was in Florida and people just kept talking trash about California and how I didn't pay much attention to what they were saying because it was all foolishness. I find it funny that everyone wants to defend things like banning books. I'm not saying that every book is worth reading, but the fact that it's out there, you actually have to pay attention to what people are saying so you can either correct them or you know, let them know that they're full of shit. So for me, you can keep Florida. It's cool. It's fun. Miami's dope. Fort Myers is dope. Miami's fun, you know. We went on a fan boat tour. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm going to be working on a video from my trips, so you'll be able to see. We did a fan boat trip, and there was alligators and stuff like that. We had a great time, with the exception of I don't fully understand everyone's love for Donald Trump. I just don't. If that's your game and that's how you want to get down, that's fine. But don't let anyone at all tell you, here, I'm going to say this. Let's get up nice and close. I'm going to say this. I am a good person. I try to be cool. I try to be patient. I try to be a team player. I try to do all that stuff. But when you let someone, a bully type like Trump, convince you otherwise, and you're going to try to tell me what I am or what I'm not, and then you're going to do things like cut in front of me while I'm walking just because you needed that win, you know what I mean? That's where you start testing my patience. And even though I take the time to chill and be, you know, and let the influence of God or the word of God influence me, don't go thinking that I won't like check you. I don't understand why you guys are co-signing to a bully. If people were treating you like that, you would hate it and you would be complaining. And we see it all the time. When the Democrats win the presidency, those folks go crazy. When the right wins the presidency, those folks go crazy. And then you guys try to out bully each other. And it's just, we're not getting anywhere doing that. So you guys have to start paying attention to who the hell you're listening to. And don't go thinking that some of us that believe in Jesus won't slap the hell out you. If you live in Florida or any of these what I consider very controlling states, Mississippi, Georgia, I guess, like all of those places that still hunker down and like double down on just these rules that are just, it's just not, it doesn't promote anything. You guys can't talk that much trash and have your literacy rates and your education rates so absolutely terrible. You know what I mean? So, and for me, I would rather have someone who is their best self. If there's a man who is at his best operational level by wearing women's clothing, then it is what it is. You guys think that freedom is taking things away. Meanwhile, I can grow my own stuff and smoke my own stuff, and out in public like an adult. And you guys, you guys don't get to do nothing. You guys get to go to gun shows. Anyway, let's get back into this. I've got on my, there's a lot happening, and a lot of the videos, a lot of the upcoming videos are going to be like this. Is going to be trying to figure all this out because there's a lot of noise happening, and I can't have my people in Florida talking all that mess about living in California, and you guys are banning books and I'm not saying that the left is not, I'm not saying that the left isn't dirty in this conversation either. They went a little too far doing weird things. But anyway, all that we're going to get down into California. We're going to start breaking down California. We're going to figure out what it is about California, and not for anything, but why is it so great? Why Silicon Valley is here, all the animation, all the film, all the farming, the almonds, all the things, and you guys are talking trash. Meanwhile, you guys are suckling off the teat of the U.S. government. Fuck out of here. Let's go. Let's get into this.
California, the state with a population and economy so large that it could be compared to another big country. From Spanish to Mexican to independent to American, home of the gold rush, Yosemite, and so much more. How did the California of today come to be? Historians don't have an exact date, but it's assumed that Native American tribes began inhabiting the land of modern-day California around 10,000 BC. These early settlers came from Asia, likely across the Bering Straits, and would soon diversify into more than 100 separate tribes, totaling anywhere from roughly 100,000 to 300,000 individuals. These tribes had their own cultures and ways of life, and inhabited the state on their own for thousands of years, until European explorers touched down on Californian soil.
Here we go.
The first known European to reach the gorgeous coasts of California was Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo in 1542. Cabrillo's expedition had been launched from modern-day Mexico, known then as the Viceroyalty of New Spain, and ended up in San Diego Bay.
Think of that. Think of like however many hundreds of or thousands of years before Christ, those people already here. And then all these folks are like, yeah, we discovered it. Nah, bitch, it's been here. You didn't do nothing but take advantage of it. Anyway, we'll get into it. I have a theory. Let's see if these guys set up my theory. Hang on, here we go.
The expedition was rather fruitless, however, as Cabrillo failed to discover anything that he viewed as worth the trouble for Spain to colonize. He left, and California remained untouched by European hands. Occasional ships, such as those from the Spanish East Indies traders, would at times touch down on California's coasts, but the idea of colonizing the territory still remained unconsidered. Even when English explorer Francis Drake plundered his way into Oregon and California, claiming the lands for his homeland.
Francis Drake has all kinds of streets named after him all up and down California.
No real settlement of any sort was actually set up. Less than 30 years later, in 1602, another Spanish sailor, This one, by the name of Sebastian Vizcaíno, set off for the coast of California in the name of New Spain and hopeful expansion. He too found San Diego Bay as well as Monterey Bay. Yet again, no colony.
The music got
It wasn't
exciting
until
AF.
decades later that the Spanish finally got around to actually setting up camp in what they were now calling Alta California. This region was to be a province of New Spain alongside Baja California below it. Franciscan
going there soon.
missionaries would become the first to set up
Tell you
real,
guys more about that
permanent
later.
settlements in the region. 1769 would see the first mission be established alongside California's first presidio, located in today's San Diego. More than another dozen missions would spring up in succession across Alta California.
We
as
got one in
more and more
Sonoma. I think it's the
Franciscans
tippy
aimed to
toppest one.
convert the local indigenous population to Christianity. The general efforts to colonize the region, however, was poorly funded and supported, as the Spanish North American holdings were slowly pushing the bounds of what the empire could handle. And the Spanish relationship with the natives in Alta California was complicated, to say the least. While missionaries hoped to teach the indigenous people their Spanish culture and beliefs, they also attempted to take advantage of the natives and utilize them for free labor, while keeping them organized on small portions of land that had once entirely belonged to.
So when people say it was white Europeans that built this country, yeah. Most of the time they were like the project managers. They didn't do a damn thing. They took advantage of a situation, and this is probably a really good time for my theory. All of these white settlers that came from Europe, they are probably used to fighting over resources, and, you know, cold weather makes you angry and just a shit person. And then you come over to a place like America, like the Indies, like the West Indies, you know, where everything was fruitful and bountiful. So our people didn't have to fight and start wars and try to take over things. There was plenty of stuff. So when these idiots showed up on these boats, they started like putting people to work. Meanwhile, we, the natives, my ancestors, some of your ancestors, they're a little bit, we're still like that. If you go to a Cuban household, the first thing they're going to do is ask you if you want some coffee. The next thing is going to be, they want to know if you've eaten. That's just how we do it. There's not a lot of war and a lot, it's not that. We come from bounty, so we're welcoming. Meanwhile, white Europeans are always on their bullshit. They start fights and wars, and they start putting people to work and doing all this stuff. And then like later they want to take credit for it. There's a whole bunch of lazy white folks out there saying we started this country. Bitch, you weren't even here. Relax. That's like me saying I was instrumental in Fidel taking over Cuba. Get the some of you guys will jump on dumb shit. And it's the same mentality. Like you with the sports teams, you know, like I know people that you have to tell you can't wear that jersey to a wedding. You can't. That's not dressing up. This team mentality and like the wars and the, you know, the NFL is just in place of people chopping each other up and stuff like that. We all know that. We all know that. But what is this fascination with having to like pee in someone's cereal or ruining someone's day or cutting someone off while you're walking? Like, you guys better stop. You guys better stop, because not everybody's afraid to say something.
indigenous. In response to this sudden encroachment and missionary conquest, the natives organized several revolts which made the already unapproachable land even less appealing to new colonists. Alta California was remote in contrast to other Spanish territories, and the lack of adequate funding left small numbers of friars and soldiers solely in charge of the settlement and missionary establishment. Nevertheless, the Spaniards were tenacious, and the following year saw the accidental discovery of San Francisco after the explorers failed to recognize Sebastian Vizcaino's description of Monterey Bay and thus sailed past it. Further expeditions did
For the record, Monterey Bay is gorgeous. San Francisco Bay is gorgeous. Again, all these people are talking trash about living in California. Meanwhile, it's gorgeous out here. It's mountainous. It's flat. We got fresh water. We got salt water. We got beaches. We got cliffs. We got skiing. We got surfing. Ah, boy.
Cover more of Northern California as the missions continued to pop up, but life in Alta California failed to become easier. Shortages of crucial goods including food, disease, and frequent violence with the natives led many to close calls of abandoning the new province. Still, the colonists remained and were continuing to fill the maps with missions, presidios, and pueblos, many of which we know as cities today like Santa Barbara, Los Angeles, Monterey, and Santa Cruz.
Santa Barbara, Santa Cruz, Monterey, Los Angeles, San Diego. They're all beautiful. I'm not going to lie, Los Angeles, maybe has lost a little bit of its luster for me. Unfortunately, it caught fire. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with, I've tried a couple times. I don't necessarily fit in there in that culture, but for the most part, if you find your tribe in LA, you're going to be straight. They have everything down there.
Seems that Spain had at least secured itself a functioning new province until the Mexican War of Independence.
Dun,
The
dun,
1821
dun.
war saw Mexico break free from the Spanish, and Alta California tag along with the neighboring lands. It was now a Mexican territory, not Spanish, and the mission culture began to shift in the direction of a ranching culture. There was also an uptick in trade, thanks to the new policies of the Mexican government, and immigrants from the neighboring American colonies, along with European migrants, began filling in the gaps of California's population left behind by the declining number of indigenous. The consequence of the latter, however, was the slow collapse of the missions, which relied on their population of converted natives to stay afloat. What remained of the missions was soon secularized by the Mexican government in the 1830s, and the original Alta California settlers were having to share land with a growing number of American migrants, who would soon outnumber their predecessors to the region. The following decade thus saw these new American Californians stage an uprising against the unstable and preoccupied Mexican government. The summer of 1846 would mark this so-called Bear Flag Revolt. The revolutionaries raised the now famous flag of their newly declared California Republic as they demanded ultimate independence. While the revolt broke out on June 14th and found a speedy success, by mid-July, the Bear Flaggers were informed that the United States, who had declared war on Mexico 2 months earlier, much to their surprise, had already captured Monterey and declared it an American territory. The rebels now had two options: take up arms against another nation to maintain their newly founded independence, or accept American authority without a fight. Since the early goal of the Bear Flaggers had actually been to make California an American possession, The decision was quite an easy one. With the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo on February 2, 1848, the Mexican-American War came to an end, and California was made an official possession of the United States. 2 years later, California would become the 31st state of the United States of America.
That's
But
pretty cool.
before that, James W. Marshall found gold.
Oh,
The famous
here we go.
California gold rush began at Sutter's Mill, nestled on the American River in Coloma, California.
And this is where the San Francisco 49ers get their name. The 49ers were a bunch of these settlers that came out, or the gold rush panhandlers, I guess. They came out. I've seen a couple of these spots where it was just a gold mining town. It was just enough to keep people housed while they worked all day.
Where Marshall discovered gold on January 24, 1848, while at his sawmill. The immediate reaction to the news brought in migrants from nearby and outside of America's borders, particularly Mexico and Chile. But after the endorsement of the announcement by President James Polk, the era of the 49ers began.
There you go.
Prospectors from all around the US, Australia, Europe, and even Asia were flooding the state throughout 1849 and caused the population to triple. Businesses and mines were springing up around Northern California as gold became everyone's focus. It's believed that between 1850 and 1859 alone, somewhere around 28,280,711 ounces of gold were discovered.
Dang.
With an additional 300,000 people.
You didn't find that in Florida. You're going to find pythons and alligators. And rules. Your freedom is dumb. Your version of freedom is dumb as hell. Your version of freedom is getting things taken away from you just to make other people feel safe and comfortable, I guess. Like, what are you doing? What do you do? Your kind of freedom is dumb.
Now calling California home, the gold rush came to an end, and the state somehow managed to skate by as the American Civil War played out, spilling brotherly blood all across the southern and eastern states. California's agriculture now had a unique chance to develop, as did its rail systems, economy, and general.
We have agriculture. These rails, boy, I don't know. These rails have been a challenge. They have a train that goes from north of San Francisco to almost San Francisco. I believe it stops at close to Marin, or if not, in Marin County. And that's because rich people that live in Marin County don't want trains going through their neighborhoods. At least that's what I've been told. So again, the haves just ruining it, ruining progress, because they don't want their views, I guess, their views taken over by trains.
The once sparse and unattractive lands that the Spaniards had found and passed up time after time was becoming a rising star within the United States. All the while, however, life for native Californians was worsening. Those who had managed to survive abuse, disease, and seclusion were now secured onto reservations by the government, and their population numbers were on a constant downhill tumble. Still, life in California went on. The state's modern history is no less busy than the rest, and the 20th century saw California in a constant state of adaptation. San Francisco felt the first tragedy in California's recent past when a fatally colossal earthquake hit on April 18, 1906. The effects were...
I will say I've lived through a couple earthquakes, but land, I'm sure a bunch more than a couple, but two that stand out. One was down in LA, and it hit, and I thought my sister's kids were kicking the couch, so I got up to kick ass. And then they all jumped up and started yelling, "Earthquake, earthquake." So it wasn't their fault. My bad, kids. The other one was when I was up here, up in the Bay Area, and it was what, 2014, 15, 16, right in there, where it was a big one, and a bunch of wine got wasted, not wasted, but ruined because it was that big. There was things falling off the walls and stuff like that. So earthquakes are scary unless you know what to expect and you know what to do. If you are well versed in preparedness, you're going to be fine. And I'm assuming it's the same dynamic in Florida when you guys are getting bombarded by hurricanes and your cars are getting tossed to the house next door and all kinds of stuff. Like, I have lived in California twice, but the second time I've probably been here for a solid 15 years, and I've had 2 earthquakes. You guys have at least 2 hurricanes every year, and it just knocks everything down. I don't understand why anyone would want to live that way. You can put your little storm shutters up, and you can do all the anything that can take my car and move it a block over. I'm good. That doesn't interest me at all. I don't want to shovel snow. I don't want to have my car flipping around. That's why I don't live in Chicago anymore. That's why I don't live in Florida. I don't want to. That was what was it, a few years ago in Disney World, land is LA. Disney World, where there was a kid a little too close to a lake or a pond or whatever, and an alligator came and got him. Like, you guys think that's cool? People are like, what's Florida like? I'm like Jurassic Park, but a little more boring. I mean, you have the alligators and stuff like that, but like, it's cool. It's cool. It's fine. You know, you have highlight.
Catastrophic, leaving 28,000 buildings damaged beyond repair, 250,000 people without homes, and a now estimated 3,000 dead. Though San Francisco would recover, the loss of life and property continues today to serve as a reminder of what the earth under California's soil can accomplish. When the Great Depression hit the United States, however, fear of another earthquake was too small an angst when compared to the comforts and opportunities California provided to those fleeing the Dust Bowl states of the Midwest. Even after World War II, many surviving soldiers saw the state as an ideal home. California's economy thus benefited even further, and prosperity returned to the short-lived republic. By the middle of the 1960s, California's population had already earned itself the title of the nation's largest, a fact that still rings true today. Other significant events in the state's modern history included multiple heavy earthquakes, social justice movements that spread to the rest of the nation, a 1969 Native American occupation of Alcatraz Island, and so much more. Today, California sits as one of America's most important states on
the Native Americans on Alcatraz Island. I'll have to take a look and see if there's any videos teaching about that history too, because I went to Alcatraz and they explained it, but I don't remember exactly, so I don't want to give you guys wrong information. But I'm going to leave myself a mental note to see if I can't find a video to explain that. There's a lot of times Native Americans, they keep telling you, we've been mistreated and all this stuff, and people just don't care. And then when you treat the bullies the way that they treat other people, all of a sudden they want to catch feelings. That's why if you guys want to get down, if you guys want to have Trump as your Jesus figure, all that stuff, and you're going to be talking trash just like him, and you're going to be dropping lies and all that stuff, it's about time. It's about time we push back. Someone in the middle, someone who's not tainted by the silliness that is the left and the right, needs to come in and slap the hell out of all of you guys to let you guys know that what you're doing isn't working. All of these thoughts, all of this stupid stuff that you guys on the East Coast think about California, you need to pluck your heads out. Well, actually, let's finish this. We can do that in the wrap up. Let's go.
Multiple levels. Its geography, economy, culture, and history are vast and varied. What we remember of the state's past is often focused primarily on its role in the Wild West as the home of the gold rush, in addition to the more modern designation as the home of cinema and fame. But California's time as a home to the indigenous, a Spanish colony, a Mexican province, an independent republic, and at long last a U.S. state are all equally distinguished and necessary periods of the land's past. It's California's bustling history that made it the extraordinary place that it is today.
Oh, yeah. So that's one of the few videos that we're going to be taking a look at here in a little bit. Because, again, I went out east, and the stupid stuff that you guys were saying about California, meanwhile, you have so many rules. So many silly rules. You want to tell your kids what to read, but then you ban books. You say that you want the freedom to be an adult, but they ban you from marijuana. They ban you from everything. But yet they let you go whole hog on guns. Which to me, again, I'm a gun guy. Remember that. When you go to talk your trash, remember, I was in the military. I also believe in the Second Amendment. So when I'm out in the streets and you are on your just idiotic Trumpness, everything, I was hoping to talk to someone about literally anything except politics out there. You guys want to come and talk about California? Let's talk about California. You say how shitty California is, I'm going to show you how shitty you have it. And then we're going to take it from there. I can live my life peacefully. I grow my own vegetables. I grow my own weed. I don't have a lot of people harassing me. I don't have my neighbors aren't, there was Trump stuff all over the place, not just signs, but like hats and shirts. I mean, you guys are whole hog on this. But the part that I fully misunderstand 100% of the time, that's your boy. Okay, fine. What has he done for you? How does he make your life better by taking things away? And a lot of you are going to be like, well, you smoke marijuana, so you're one of those potheads. You don't know what you're talking about. At least I'm not addicted to prescribed medication. There's a lot of you old fuckers out there that are hooked on pain meds and all that stuff. I don't take nothing. I take a daily vitamin and some THC. And people leave me alone. And people leave me all the way alone. Yeah, there's been times where there was a law that where people were walking into Walgreens and stealing like $900 worth of stuff, la 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 la. That made it on the ballot just that quick. We did away with it because you're right. That is some silly foolishness. But we rectified that instantly. You guys are still taking things away. You guys are still hung up on all of this. You're upset at gay people until your kids come home gay. You're upset at trans people until one of your kids comes home trans. And then all of a sudden you understand. Let's just cut to the chase. Let's just get to the point where you leave people the fuck alone. It's just that simple. Just that simple. We're going to be taking a look at more California stuff, and we're probably going to, everything is political now, so we're going to be taking a look at some of that stuff too. But I need to straighten some of you guys out. Some of you guys are out here in the streets looking foolish with the information that you're building your argument on is all foolishness. It's all foolishness. Anyway, I hope you liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, share it with each and every one of your friends. And if you want to come hang out with me while we watch videos as I work on creative projects, hit that subscribe button and then the bell so that way, every time I come out with something new, you'll be alerted. Don't forget to go to coconutjustice.com and get you some dope gear. And with that, I'm out.